everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the afternoon. Joining me today, long time no see, it is Broad Street Hockey's own Kelly Hinkle. Where the hell have you been, Hinks?
I was in Pittsburgh this weekend. That was neat. They sure do have bridges.
They sure do have bridges. I saw you had, what was it, a Pimento's French fry sandwich?
Oh, the Primanti brothers.
Primanti, that's it, yeah.
I don't know why that's a thing. And no one outside of the Philadelphia, New York City corridor knows how to make a sandwich. And it's as a society, we have to accept that they don't know how to do it.
Yeah, that's what we have. We have sports teams that drive us absolutely insane and the world's greatest sandwiches. That is what goes on here in Philadelphia.
Yes.
Arts, culture, we have a great art museum that no one goes inside because there's a movie prop that everyone gets a picture with and leaves. Like, we don't have any of that stuff. We've got sandwiches and our insane sports teams. And we're here to talk about one of those today. It is, of course, those Philadelphia Flyers. But before we get into any of that, I got to tell you to hit that freaking like button. Do it. Hit the like button. It gives us, I know Kelly's always trying to make that thing pop up on her screen now because it happened that one time.
I know.
Yeah, that was so funny. But here we are.
I don't know how technology works.
No Charlie today, so it's me and Kelly screwing around for an hour.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. Tomorrow is going to be a mailbag show. So get your questions in to @PHLY_Flyers on Twitter. We're going to do that. But today we're going to be doing a lot of catching up on some things that we haven't been able to talk about, especially with Kelly, because our strongest Rick Tocchet critic has not been around since the hiring was made. So we have to catch up on Tocchet talk. Before we do that, though, got to tell you, you have to check out one of our latest videos here on the YouTube page. I discussed Tocchet with Steve Peters, Petey, who was a video coach for the Coyotes during Tocchet's tenure as head coach. Also, that brief stint as an assistant under Gretzky, and even all the way back to Tocchet's playing days with the Yotes. So he is very familiar with Tocchet, his style, his communication style, what he prefers out of his assistant coaches, all that. Check it out right here on our YouTube page, me chatting with Steve Peters about that. But first, we got to talk about where in the world is Kelly Hinkle. So you're back home now, Kelly.
Yeah.
You have returned from one of your many Pearl Jam endeavors, and you are back.
Yeah. Tour's over, so I'm going to be here for a little while.
The tour is over, and you were over. What were you on, like half of it? How many dates did you see on this tour?
On this tour, I technically 7, 8, 9.
9.
Yeah.
What were the cities you went to for these 9 dates? Because there were several in the same town, right?
Yeah, I went to Boston. I went to Nashville, Pittsburgh, Missoula, Montana, and then the local shows.
I love these towns you've heard of somewhere in Montana. And what was the coolest place you saw?
Oh, Missoula for sure.
Really?
Missoula was cool as hell. Yeah. First of all, Montana is like insanely beautiful. Like insanely beautiful. Missoula has a very good vibe. I have like a something about me. I don't know if this is like a weird thing about me. I have like a real fondness for like mountain town aesthetics. Like I really like Flagstaff, Arizona. Missoula has a very similar vibe. If you've ever been to a place that's like a mountain, like dudes are all wearing like trucker hats and hey dude shoes. Like I don't know why. I just the vibe is very cool to me. Missoula has a lot of that, and it's very, very, very pretty. So, and I like to pick a place I haven't gone before.
Of course,
just like
of course.
Go to a Pearl Jam show, and I thought that would be a cool one, and it was.
No, and like, listen, everyone I know has been to Nashville once. You know, I've been to Pittsburgh for that outdoor game a couple of years ago. Don't know if I know many people who visited Missoula, Montana. So put that on the list. What did you think of Nashville? How did you enjoy it there? Because I know you're not hardcore partier.
So I went into it assuming that I wasn't gonna like Nashville, that it was gonna be like, all right, I've been to Nashville. Specifically because of what you said, like, I'm not a drinker, I'm not like a big partier. I was going by myself. I have like, obviously I'm very awkward, so like going to a bar alone is like my nightmare. Like all that kind of stuff is like not my jam. So I assumed that I would hate Nashville. Nashville's great, and also a hockey town.
Yes.
I did not expect. Like, I obviously, like, you know, the team's right there, they're right downtown. Like, obviously they're gonna be a thing. But like, you just think like, all right, it's in Nashville, Tennessee. Like, it's not gonna be like, it's the off season. The Predators aren't playing. I'm at the hot chicken restaurant that is showing on the television a replay of the Canes game from the night before on NHL Network in the middle afternoon. I'm like, I can't go to a bar in Philadelphia while a Flyers game is actively happening. And you ask them to put it on, and they look at you like you're crazy. They're like, okay, the Flyers game now. Like,
Kelly, how hard is it for the draft parties that we plan to get them to turn the sound on to the draft?
It's out of control. And like, I don't want to like, I don't want to get on one of my like, the fans here are annoying soapboxes that I get on from time to time, but like, Pittsburgh, better hockey town than us. Nashville, Tennessee, better hockey town than us. Like, we have work to do as a collective fan base to turn this place into a hockey town. And I know it's hard, the team isn't good, but like, the Predators didn't make the playoffs either. They were real bad.
Listen, it's hard for me to blame the fans when it's like, it's been 5 years since we were in the playoffs and no one could go to those games. There hasn't been a playoff game in front of the crowd since 2018. And that run was quickly snubbed out by the Penguins. Like, hockey is a sport that can catch fire in any place, as we're seeing in Tampa and Sunrise and Nashville and Vegas and Utah and everywhere. If the team gives you a reason, and if they don't, there's just so many other things going on. And here we are with the Flyers.
I just want so badly.
I know.
For this to be a hockey town. It used to be one. You remember? Sold out nights. Sold out Phantoms game, sold out Flyers game across the street from each other on a Friday night. This was a hockey town. We could do it again.
Oh, I remember when they first opened Xfinity during that 2012 series. Went outside with a couple of friends, couldn't get back in. Like, nah, man, like you left. You can't get back into it's far too packed. And we have a ways to go, as do the triumvirate of Rick Tocchet, Danny Briere, and Keith Jones. Before we get to the Flyers, though, let's do some of those playoffs things, those ever elusive Stanley Cup playoffs, Kelly. And we have the conference finals to talk about. We certainly will. But we got to talk about the freaking Leafs. Now, Kelly, like, today is the 50th anniversary of Game 3 of this 75 Stanley Cup final. Next week, the 27th, that'll be the 50th anniversary of the last Cup win for the Flyers. Wow. So I am certainly empathetic. You know, I feel you.
Yeah.
But dear God, the Leafs are ridiculous. And it's not even like they lost. Like, you lost in 7 to the Panthers. There's no shame in that. The Panthers are better than the Leafs. Like, they just are. But, like, 6-1 at home in games 5 and 7. Dog, just losing game 6. Why even bring it back home? Like, that makes it so much worse.
I just, like,
spanked on home ice like that.
I cringe to think of what people spent to be in that building for game 7. Only to see them just get absolutely rocked. It's just...
How does a team really ever, at any stage of hockey, give up the first 25 shot attempts, let alone in game 7 at home? How is that possible?
Fun story. There was a Pearl Jam show on Sunday night.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in my seat with my phone streaming the game, Very easy way to make fun or make friends with strangers at a
Yeah.
concert is to be streaming a sports game on your phone, and people notice and they're like, "Oh, you watching the Leafs game?" Like, yeah, I am. So I ended up being like the communicator of the score to several people around me.
Oh.
But I ended up watching the first period in its entirety on my phone, and I'm sitting there going, "Are they going to get a single shot on goal in this game? Like, what is happening?" It was a disaster from the jump. And I don't like, I know everyone wants to say like, man, they just don't have it. Like Matthews and Marner's, they're losers. Like they can't do it. But I can't let it be that easy. Like these are professional athletes. They don't want to lose. They don't dog it on purpose. Like I don't understand what happens to these guys every single year. Like they're just cursed by a witch.
That's like, I always try to push back against that sort of narrative. Like, because I always say, like, a player or a team, you're losers until you're not. You know,
Right.
A guy is good in the postseason, and then suddenly it goes away. A team gets close and can never quite finish. It's like, yeah, they just don't have it, and then they do. I mean, look at Alex Ovechkin's Capitals record. They've been out of the second round one time. But they did it that one time. Not only did they reach the conference final, they went to and won the Stanley Cup. So you can't call him or his era a failure, but like it took a while to get there, and it's been a while since. This Leafs team, though, I feel like it's just true. I feel like whatever it is, this group, this media market, it just produces this loserness that can't be overcome for some reason. Again, it's one thing to lose. You lose 3-2 in overtime in Game 7.
All right.
Such is life. You lost 6-1 and it was never close.
So I will say, I do think that there are a lot of factors that go into this kind of thing that I think that are, it's a lot, I think, for people to like take on. So we were talking before the show about how I thought it was absurd that these Florida guys are coming out and essentially being like, it's a lot easier when no one's watching your team. Like maybe the problem in Toronto is that people care too much. And if nobody cared, like nobody cares about our team, they would be good too. Like that to me was the most infuriating thing I've ever heard in my life. It's such an NHL thing. Like you've said 1,000 times, the ideal for this league and these players is for nobody to be watching ever and for them to just be playing games for nobody.
If it was 2020 always, like the ideal, I feel like was the Lake Tahoe game. Like I think that's what every player would want. Ain't no one here and we are doing whatever.
And so that's really annoying. I do think, however, there probably is something to the idea that like they are the Philadelphia Eagles of Toronto, of the entire province, really. Yeah. You could argue maybe the entire country. People are obsessed with them and all eyes are on them at all times. I am sure that for every current player on a Toronto Maple Leafs team on any given year, the weight of trying to be the team that gets over this, like, can't win a round curse, like, it's got to be a lot. I'm sure it is a lot that weighs on you when this, like, we haven't won since 1967. Everything is on us. Everyone is watching us. Everyone is expecting us to be the guys that finally break this curse. I'm sure that's a lot. It probably does affect them to some measure. There's also the fact that, and I know that like people, I think that I'm probably in the minority on this. I don't like that the entire sport becomes a different sport in the playoffs. That you can't build a team that's successful in the regular season that is success. It's like the Canes argument all the time. You build this incredibly skilled hockey team full of very skilled players that does outstanding in the regular season and then can't win in the playoffs. And the reason they can't win in the playoffs is because they stop calling penalties. And you can't discount the fact that like Florida for a lot of this series was very dirty and didn't get a lot of calls against them.
They are an openly dirty team.
Because it's the playoffs and like this is just what happens. And it's like maybe if they didn't have their goal, obviously it's Anthony Stolarz. He could have turned into a pumpkin at any moment. But maybe if his head wasn't taken off at the beginning of the series, maybe it's a different outcome. But it's like the officials and the league allow this like false parity to occur in the playoffs by allowing goony, dirty teams to take out skilled players, because obviously they know that, like, if I'm not, like, obviously with Florida and Toronto, it's a little bit more even. Like, they're both very good hockey teams. But like in the early rounds, if I'm the lower seed and I know this team is better than me, and I know I can throw some elbows at the heads of their best players and nothing's going to happen, like, obviously I'm going to do that. And so that creates this like evenness that doesn't actually exist between these two teams. And it shouldn't be that way. The more skilled team should have an advantage over the team that's not as skilled. And when you have guys just like taking runs all the time in the playoffs because you're not going to get a penalty called against you, it doesn't make, I think, for the best version of the game, in my opinion. And I know people are going to disagree with that because they're like, no, it's a war of attrition and like you got to battle through it and it should be that hard and whatever. Like, you can still play hard hockey in the regular season, but you're going to get called for penalties that are blatant penalties. The point is, if something is against the rules, it should still be called in the playoffs. And a lot of times it's not. And that's, I think, a little bit of a problem for the league that's never going to get solved.
Yeah, I just think, like, I think the players have kind of determined it at this point. Like, all right, in the regular season, we're all playing for our paychecks, and this is how we feed our families. And in the playoffs, like, the players have determined this is how we're going to play, and this is what's going to be acceptable. And the league's like, what do you want me to do about it? Like, I didn't tell Sam Bennett to elbow anyone in the head, but no one seems to have a problem with it. So, like, I guess this is just how the game goes. And I do think it can make for, like, that's why I think the first round is the best round until you get to the Cup final. And then, of course, it's just the stakes. But in the middle, everyone's just broken. Like, take a look at who ain't on the ice for Florida right now at practice. It's half their team. Like, nobody's practicing for them. And it's, man, because everyone's got broken ribs. But it's kind of what the league, and I kind of put it on the players. This is what they've all decided is acceptable. But the Leafs, man, they're just, I never want to believe the narrative of like a group of really good players can't get it done. It's, I don't know, man, assemble the most talent and see how it goes.
Right.
But we have so much of a sample size now, and so much of a sample size in winner take all huge games. Like, you can't be 0 for 7 or whatever the hell. Like, no, so you've been even the whole way. Like, you had to each win 3 games to get to this point, which means you've split. And then you get to that winner take all, and it just goes so poorly that I don't know. And that's what leads me to like one of the first things I want to talk about with the Flyers now, as it pertains to the Leafs. Taking advantage of a team, I don't even know if it's about to do something stupid, because what are they supposed to do? Keep it all together? And listen, 2 of the core 4's contracts are up, so it's not even totally up to the Leafs, but obviously they are in a position where they have to make changes, and changes are going to be thrust upon them, perhaps.
Yeah.
What sort of ways can maybe Danny Briere take advantage? My first question, I don't think it's here. I think it's Carolina, or I think it's LA. One of these teams that's like, you know what we need is just a little bit more of that star power.
Yeah.
But if Mitch Marner were willing to come here because he thinks Rick Tocchet is an awesome I don't know. Whatever reason. He loves orange and black. It's beautiful. He actually was a Lindros fan growing up. I don't know. Who would he be a fan of growing up? Like a
Lindros makes sense.
Gagne fan, I guess.
It wouldn't be Lindros because he's a child.
Yeah, he's younger than us, right? He's like 28. So maybe he was like a Gagne fan.
That's true. He could have been it could have been
whatever. He loved Simone Gagne. For whatever reason. Loves cheesesteaks. You want to give Mitch Marner $14 million to come here? Are you willing to make that investment?
No. So here's the thing. I really like Mitch Marner.
Me too.
The Leafs jersey that I was wearing the other day was a Mitch Marner jersey. I would love to have Mitch Marner on this team, but the reality is, with a salary cap and with the money that some team's going to give him, I don't want it to be the Flyers because even though I don't believe that there's like a loser inside of him that can't be shaken or whatever, like I just don't think that's a thing. He's incredibly skilled. He would be an incredible asset to have on your hockey team. We also do have, though, a very large sample size, as you said, of him not getting it done when it needs to get done. And if we're talking like, if you could get Mitch Marner for like 9, maybe even 10, okay. Like maybe I'm thinking about it. But like you said, he's going to get 14. Like he's going to get a truck full of money from somebody. And like, good for him. I can't have it be the Flyers in a salary cap situation. If this was the Snyder days, I would say, yeah, throw a bunch of money at him, bring him in, see what happens. But we unfortunately live in a cap reality.
In the hard cap era, of course, as we were complaining about off the air before the show. And that's
Never stop complaining about it.
Like, if you had the homegrown, like so much of this thing is still hypothetical. If you had a franchise goalie or a 1C or even, a couple of maybe first pair defensemen, and it was a luxury item, like, yeah, man, we can afford to go out and kind of get the, the highest price free agent to maybe add a little even more skill. But without any of the most necessary pieces, I don't see how you go and get a, 8-figure winger. Like that just, I don't see how you can possibly afford that. I want to do a couple more things on this before we get to some Tocchet stuff, because I know everyone's waiting for Kelly's Tocchet takes. But before we do that, we have to take our first break. A picture is worth 1,000 words, and one Philly artist is absolutely proving it, and doing so literally because it's art of words. That's right. Each piece is made entirely from handwritten words, like the name of every Eagle to form the link in every Philly shaping Citizens Bank Park. And it's not just sports. He's captured things like Boathouse Row, Reading Terminal, the Philly skyline, the Jersey Shore, and so much more. And these are unforgettable gifts for sports fans, grads, housewarming. And listen, Father's Day right around the corner. What better than an unmistakable piece of art for the Philly sports fan in your life? Our friend started selling art at the PHLY and at Rice's flea market, and credits Philly fans for really launching his career, and available for dozens of teams and cities as well. So there's something for everyone, not just a Philly fan, but come on. We're a Philly show here. And these pieces, they are conversation starters. You'll spot a name, then another, and soon everyone's reliving their favorite sports memories. I said last week, Charlie and Steve did the Let's Remember Some Guys show. That's literally what this art is. You will remember player after player and be entertained, and they look pretty damn cool as well. I have a few pieces in my house. I think my gritty piece is actually on the set back at the studio now. I'm a big fan of Art of Words. I think you will be too. They've been featured on the Today Show, ESPN, so much more. So check it out for yourself at artofwords.com. That's artofwords.com. And use code PHLY at checkout for 15% off your purchase. And now it's time to talk about game time. That's right. It's game time, baby. Listen, there's not any playoff hockey, really even in the area whatsoever to be talking about. Now, the Phantoms are out. Obviously, Flyers didn't qualify. But there is so much going on in town. We have the best baseball team in the National League. You got to check them out. They are here. You got to get your tickets to see them at Game Time. Not to mention, summer's here, man. Summer concerts, they have begun. Regardless of venue, wherever you want to go, you have to use Game Time to get into all of your favorite ticketed events, because Game Time is the best. That's right. The best secondary ticket marketplace. Because of features like Game Time Picks, where they filter out the fluff and show you only the best deals on the best seats. Not to mention, they take all the surprises out of going to shows, games, whatever it is, with the panoramic seat view. When you get to the venue, you won't be shocked. Same thing when you get to checkout. when you're buying your tickets, all you got to do is toggle on the all-in pricing, and you see all the fees and everything up front, so there's no huge jump when you get to checkout. Those are just a few of the features that make Game Time so great. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, we are back here, Hinkle, and I just want to ask a few more things about maybe taking advantage of the Leafs.
Okay.
I have long expected, basically since they took the C off them and gave it to Austin Matthews, that there is a contract in a drawer somewhere, and they are just going to stamp it on July 1st, and he remains there at a much lower cap hit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take all of the reality of the situation off the table. Let's say you could get John Tavares for 3 years. Would you want him?
I'd do it.
I think I would.
I think it's a nice stopgap while we wait for what are hopefully some good young centers to develop. It's a good like team dad situation, which, you know, always good to have one of those. We had Eric Johnson, now we don't. And he's still pretty darn good. So,
absolutely.
You know, if you can get him on a 2 to 3 year contract, and as JH in the chat states, he brings the amulet with him. That's a condition.
Oh, well,
of the contract.
obviously,
he's got to bring the
amulet.
I would absolutely
give it to Rasmus to keep him safe. Yeah.
I'm saying, like, maybe when he comes, he brings amulets for the whole team. I'm not sure it's a bad idea. But yeah, I absolutely would do Tavares on a short-term contract if he would be willing to do such a thing.
I don't think that's realistic, but just finding that center just seems like such a priority, even if it's for a short-term stopgap situation to help all these young wingers. We have so many freaking wingers and no offensively gifted center to pair with them. Say what you will maybe about the Leafs, you know, playoff performance and all that. 7 years with the Leafs, John Tavares averaged 32 goals, 70 points. He is coming off a 38 goal, 74 point season. That's really, really good. That is a considerable amount of scoring. I can't see how he wouldn't help. I can't see how he wouldn't help the power play. Yeah. It's not a long-term solution. It is not, this is going to get us. This is what's going to get us into a conference final in a few years. No. We are far from that. But if the idea is to take a step and help these young wingers develop, I don't see how it could possibly hurt. But again, I don't think it's realistic. The thing everybody wants, Kelly, is a Matty Nyes offer sheet.
Oh, there's no way. They're going to, whatever you throw at that dude, they're going to match it. They have no depth. They have no depth scoring outside of that guy. So like, you can't let him go. And they're very clearly getting, like, they're not going to re-sign Marner. Like, he's very clearly going to go because it's Toronto. They have to do something crazy. Like, honestly, the thing to do for them, because I feel like the biggest problem that they've had is they had this plan in place, like this core four to build around, and they seem to be going in a direction. And then every time they lost, they decided like they had to build a completely different hockey team around these four guys. So they never really had anything like coalesce around them. And they're probably going to do that again. And in addition to that, they're probably going to blow it up a little bit. So Marner's probably going to go, which means they're going to have a ton of space. Whatever you throw at Matty Nyes, they're going to match it. So like that, I think is just like not going to happen. It would be cool if it did, but it's not going to happen. And also, I just don't think we should get rid of next year's first.
You're probably right. You're probably right. Just in case. Yeah. Listen.
Just in case.
They can have the intention of fixing things and maybe even go out and make some ads.
Yeah.
What if the goalie they add gets hurt in the first month? You know, like you should have a backup plan. I'm not all that interested in giving up that first. I do feel you there. And we're already hearing, Kelly, next year's draft. That's the good one.
The friggin' Islanders just won the lottery. They had the 10th You know what I mean? Like, I just don't listen. The Flyers aren't going to be a cup team next year, which means they could be a lottery team. Like, they don't have to be as bad as they were this year to still be a lottery team. And I don't know. I feel like you gotta keep that one. If there's even a chance, you gotta keep it. Just cause it's too good. You know what I mean? Like it's not like this year. It's too good to not have that opportunity. Unless you're getting a sure thing, I don't think it's a good idea.
No, and that's again, Love Nyes really like what he brings. Is he a franchise center? Well,
no.
How many assets are we putting in something that isn't that one thing that we need more than everything else?
Right.
Edmonton or Carolina, let's just do Carolina, Florida. They kick off tonight, game 1. To your point about that series, like, oh yeah, you know how the rules just kind of change? I guess I wasn't shocked. Like, Carolina's the home team and everything, but they're a favorite tonight against the defending Cup champs. I feel like Florida's strategy in the first game or two is just let's try to kill everyone and then see where we are after a couple of games.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that seemed to be their strategy with the Leafs, honestly. Yeah. Like they were like, we can lose too. It's no big deal. If we hurt everybody, we can definitely, we'll definitely win 4.
It played out. It's almost hilarious because I mean, it didn't take a rocket scientist, but before game 1 of Toronto, Florida, I was like, oh, they don't need to win the first game or two. If they just take out Stolarz, like, all right, we're in the lead. Even if we're down a game, we'll spot you a game here or there.
Yeah.
And that is exactly how it played out. And then they end up winning in 7 because were the Leafs going to win a game 7? That was so. We'll see how it goes tonight. It was I really wanted to bet Florida. Like, okay, they're kind of the underdog here. Let me see. But early in the series, I don't know. Maybe they're not all that focused on scoring 5 goals. Maybe if it's more about, yeah, man, what if Sebastian Aho gets knee on need, you know? What if that happens? So be it.
I mean, if they take out Anderson, Carolina's going to have a hard time.
Yeah, like, okay, here comes
a real hard time.
Here comes Kochetkov. He's a guy. He's a guy.
Yeah.
As Freddie Anderson, like, that guy gets hurt getting out of bed. It's not going to be all that difficult to injure him. All right.
No, you probably wouldn't even have to make it dirty. You could just bump into him a little bit.
No, like just one borderline goalie interference that, depending on how the league feels, is or isn't illegal.
Oops, I lost an edge. Yep. Like, sorry. You know, that kind of thing.
All right, Kelly. It's Tocchet time. I've been looking forward to this for like a week. You haven't been around. You and I equally kind of critical of the idea of hiring Rick Tocchet, even though we all kind of knew it was an inevitability, just like last time. It was Tocchet or Torts. Take your pick. It ended up being Torts, and here we are, less than 3, or I guess, about 3 years later, and it's now Tocchet. How you feeling? What was your initial reaction? Because we haven't talked to you since it was official.
Yeah. I mean, my initial reaction was like, all right, like we knew it was going to happen. We could have talked about it for another couple of weeks and like pretended that there were options. But I think we all knew that if Rick Tocchet took this job, Rick Tocchet was getting this job. Here's the thing. I don't think I've ever said out loud, and I don't think I've ever thought that there's like a 0% chance that he won't be good here. He just was not, of the field of candidates that we had to choose from, wasn't my pick. And also, I found it annoying that people were acting like there was this like world of evidence that would suggest that he's some kind of coaching paragon and like obviously the best option because he's such a good coach, but like never presented any evidence that that was the case. If anyone had just said like, you know what? We want to hire Rick Tocchet for the vibes. We think he's a cool guy. We think he'll be good for the locker room. We think he'll be good for the media. We think he'll be good. Fans will like it. Like if that's why you want to hire Rick Tocchet, all right. And like, honestly, that's probably why you did, considering how much they've been pushing the he used to go here thing, like in every like social media post, like everything is like, hey, you remember when this guy used to go here? Like it's very clearly a vibes hire. And that's okay. Because Keith Jones was a vibes hire and he's been pretty great. So like, just say that. Like, stop trying to tell me that he's a really good coach based on all of this evidence. Like, there's none of that. That said, like, now I really want it to work. Like, now I really hope that in a year, we're looking back on the shows we did this summer and going, look how dumb Kelly looked for thinking that Rick Tocchet was a bad idea. Perfect outcome. That's exactly what I want to happen. And it could. Like, maybe, like the things that he's been saying since he's been hired, they sound pretty good to me. I kind of don't love the idea that they're sticking with this triumvirate thing.
That's something we talked about yesterday. Wanted to get your take on it, just because, listen, maybe Rick Tocchet is different because of the connection and what they believe his strengths are as a coach. And this actually was a Briere and Jonesy hire, not an inherited coach. But we saw how it worked with Tortorella, and then you're left like, okay, you know, you respected him, but are we left with a bunch of guys who fit the coach? And this is the NHL.
Right.
Is he John Cooper? Probably not. Like, and it could work. Like, it could work, and he's not here for a long time because that's the NHL. It happens all the freaking time. You know, Jim Montgomery was a really good coach. He's on his third team somehow. You know, like, he's never lasted 3 full seasons anywhere, and he's an awesome coach. When the coach is that much a part of the decision-making process, does it leave you like, okay, now we have to find someone who's kind of more of the same, and you never look outside the box? And that's always been our contention.
Yeah.
It's not that it's bad that he's a former Flyer. No. It's that if he wasn't, would he be your pick? You know? Like, if he wasn't, would it be we're going to interview other people, but if this guy wants it, this guy is getting it, and nothing else matters.
Yeah.
It's impossible to know, but it just feels like they consistently shrink the pool in that way. That said, Kelly, you and I are not in the bubble. You know, we are outsiders to the hockey world. Maybe we're just missing something. Maybe the idea that everybody thought those Arizona teams should have been picking first and we're in the middle of the West rather than at the dead last, maybe that is really impressive, and we're just not seeing it because we're not hyper-focused on, you know, the 2010s Arizona, Phoenix, Coyote, whatever the hell they were at the time.
Right.
Like, and the fact that they did have the arena issues and the ownership issues and like the GM, what the hell even happened where they lost those? I don't even remember. But like the whole thing was was such a freaking mess that they don't even exist anymore. You know, they didn't fold. They're a defunct franchise, basically. They're an idle franchise. Utah is basically an expansion team that bought the whole roster off of Arizona. It's not even like a continuation of the organization. That's how bad things were there. And the fact that he held it together, maybe that is super impressive and we're overlooking it. Maybe. It's always just been, I don't see the evidence that he is this amazing coach.
Right.
That deserves to be thought of as, oh, well, if he wants it, obviously the search is over. Like that has just always been my contention. But now here we are. He's the coach. There's nothing I can do about it. It's much like the rebuild strategy itself, Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like how they were going to do it, but now they're in the middle of it. Like, I can't continue to complain about this thing that was 3 years ago when I need this to work now as a fan. It's not about what I wanted 2-3 years ago. Yeah, I think they should have traded Travis Konechny, but I need to get over that because he's here. He's signed long-term, and there's nothing that can be done.
Right. And yeah, I think it was just that, like, now that it's happened, I mean, it's happened. So, like, this is it. This is my favorite hockey team. I love them more than any grown person should love a sports franchise. I want this to work flawlessly. So hopefully it does. I do kind of, I mean, and I don't know if this, it very well could be lip service on the part of Jonesy and Briere, because like we really thought that Tortorella was going to move upstairs and there was no way he was ever going to get fired because he was like so respected by the front office. And like now we're finding out that that was probably never going to happen. And like he was always just going to be the coach, but they listened to him. And so maybe they're just, letting Tocchet, not lying to him, but just like being like, yeah, you're a part of this. We're going to listen to you. But I do hope that this isn't another situation where we have Tocchet coming in and being like, you know what? Bobby Brink doesn't have it. I don't like him. And so now we got to get rid of Bobby Brink. Like that was very clearly happening with John Tortorella, especially at the beginning. And for the most part, that was fine because all of the guys that they got rid of were, quite frankly, guys that didn't have it.
There needed to be subtractions. Like it had to happen.
Yes.
It was just like, is he the be-all, end-all arbiter of who does and doesn't have it, and what happens when somebody else comes in?
Right. But now I don't think there's anybody on this team that you can look at and be like, they absolutely have to go for the good of this hockey team. Like all of those guys, I feel like have been removed. So I just kind of hope that we have gotten past the idea that the coach is going to shape the roster. Like this needs to be Danny Briere giving Rick Tocchet the pieces that he thinks are best, and Rick Tocchet figuring out how to make that into a good hockey team. Like that's where we need to be at this point.
Developing the young players they have, and when subtractions are made, it's not just subtraction, it is hockey trade. It is, we have to send out Joffrey Lupul because we can bring in our number one defenseman. Right. Things of that nature, rather than, you know what? Even, I am beginning to come around on the idea that they need to move on from Owen Tippett. I'm not doing it just to get rid of him. Right. I'm doing it to make the team better in some other area that they are lacking because they have 19 wingers and no centers and a whole bunch of middle pair defensemen. Like, all right, before we go any further, we have to take another quick break. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. From their 90 million users worldwide to their over 780,000 events live streamed each year, and the early payouts. I love those early payouts across the NBA and NHL in these ongoing playoffs. You got to make Bet365 your sports book of choice. And now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5, win or lose. That's right, win or lose. There's so many things to love about Bet365. They've been a sponsor of ours for really since almost the beginning of PHLY, and I've been placing all my bets there, and I think I'm going to have some bets on tonight's games placed at Bet365. Told you earlier on the John Marks show I was taking the under in Carolina, Florida. I think we're going to let that ride. That might be our bet tonight. But regardless of what you're betting on, spreads, totals, player props, you got to bet at Bet365. And we do have that breaking news from Bet365. Like I said, new customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Just win. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. All you got to do is sign up. Use the code PHLY365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Whether your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And while we're here, got to tell you about our friends at Golden Nugget Jewelers. Because for the past 30 years, Golden Nugget Jewelers has operated out of the very same location down at 8th and Chestnut in downtown Philly. But customers from all across PA, Jersey, even as far as Baltimore, New York, all over have come to Golden Nugget to find that perfect engagement ring or wedding band. And their staff is highly trained and dedicated to providing a personalized shopping experience. And that means so much because, listen, I've been on the ring hunt before. You're dropping more money maybe in one place than you ever have in your life. You want to feel like you're being taken care of. You want to feel like you're part of the experience. You're not just a customer. Well, that's what Golden Nugget provides for you. And they have a vast selection of engagement rings and wedding bands, along with high-end watches, fashion jewelry, sparkling diamond necklaces, bracelets, earrings, and so much more. And each engagement ring purchase receives a final cleaning and written appraisal, so you will know that you are getting the very best. You deserve an expert and the best price. And that's why you got to go with Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. Visit goldennuggetjewelry.com today to learn more. All right, Hinks, about Tocchet, have you heard anything specifically from him that has kind of maybe softened your stance a little bit?
I haven't had a chance to watch the PD video yet. I'm excited to watch that.
There's some good stuff in there. I highly recommend checking out our interview with Steve Peters.
Yeah, he's an incredibly smart guy. And so, like, I implicitly trust everything that he says to me regarding hockey. So I'm excited to watch that. I mean, the interviews that he had with like the media stuff that he's done, I don't dislike Rick Tocchet. Like, he seems like a cool guy. He's got Keith Jones vibes. Like, he's probably really fun to hang out with. Like, I don't have anything against him personally. I just wanted the team to go in a different direction, and they didn't, and that's fine. So now Rick Tocchet is my favorite coach, and I hope he does exceedingly well here. Like, that's where I am. And I don't think that, like, as a fan, like, that's not hypocritical. Like, that's kind of like what you do as a fan. If they do a thing that you didn't like, that you didn't want them to do, doesn't mean you don't want it to work. Like, I really want it to work. So, like, at this point, I'm just, now I'm Rick Tocchet's #1 fan. Let's go.
That's the
nothing else I can do about it.
A couple of things that have probably, like, again, yeah, like, I'm a fan and there's nothing I can do, so accept it and enjoy. Hope it works. Right. But a couple of things have made me more optimistic about the situation than I was prior to the hire actually becoming official.
Okay.
One, in the conversation I had with Petey was, I brought up the Elias Pettersson thing and how it was, like, I don't know, this guy's really freaking skilled. He's really good. How come he had this major drop-off under Tocchet? And obviously, maybe the JT Miller stuff just got so out of hand that there's nothing anyone could have actually done about that situation, and it just weighed on Pettersson so much. But the idea of Tocchet being like, well, we need to reprogram his brain, and it's, all right, are you trying to turn a guy who had 100 points a couple of years ago into like a grinder? Because that doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah.
And Petey broke it down more as like a comparison of, like, he loves skill players, wants them to be as creative as possible. There is a reason Phil Kessel and Sidney Crosby love Tocchet so much. And he talked about Clayton Keller, how Clayton Keller, when Tocchet was coaching him as a young guy, was a perimeter player. He was on the outside. He'd carry the puck into the zone, slow up, wait for everyone else to join him. They create space for him, and then he figures out what he's doing. He wants things done at pace, and he wants guys attacking the center of the ice. And now Clayton Keller is really freaking good. And it's kind of grown. He's grown more into that style of player who attacks the net, goes to the high danger areas. And that kind of, like, okay, all right, that's tangible evidence. Like, that is, he isn't trying to turn everyone into a power forward grinder. He's just trying to get the most out of everybody, and I agree with that. You do have to attack the center of the ice. You can't just hang out on the outside, especially when we're trying to build a team that's not just going to have decent regular seasons,
right,
but get to some conference finals, maybe win a cup one day. I know it's only been 50 years. We can't ask for the world here, but perhaps one day it's possible. And I do think the Flyers have done a decent job under Tortorella kind of creating that already. So maybe there won't be this major disconnect when he starts coaching these guys up. And the most important player, Matvei Michkov, kind of already that kind of guy. So maybe there won't be this huge problem right from the start.
That's true.
The other part is players seem to love Rick Tocchet. Really good players. Like Quinn Hughes was the one banging the drum for Vancouver to try to bring this guy back because he wants to play for him. Quinn Hughes is awesome. The Flyers are going to need to be an attractive organization.
Yeah.
They're going to need to get players with trade protection to choose to come here. They're going to need restricted free agents to sign offer sheets and unrestricted free agents to choose to come here. One of the most highly sought after coaches just made that decision to come here. If that makes us more attractive, it's hard to argue that point specifically.
Oh, 100%. That's probably the thing that's like the inarguable upside to this hire.
Yes.
Is that it would appear that a lot of players really liked playing for Rick Tocchet. He was not number 2 on the list of coaches that I don't want to play for that aren't mine in the player poll. So, that's good. I mean, obviously the dream is Quinn Hughes, how much did you like playing for Rick Tocchet?
Yeah.
You could play for him again. Just saying, bud. So I mean, obviously, that's a huge thing. And if it does end up in the future, showing that, yeah, players are coming here specifically because they like playing for an organization led by Rick Tocchet. And again, as I said, if people had been talking about this as a vibes hire, you would have gotten less argument out of me because, again, Keith Jones was that. And it seems pretty clear that Keith Jones, being a guy kind of greasing the wheels and making the calls and being the face, is already working pretty well for the Flyers. If Rick Tocchet had been interviewing with Dave Scott or Chuck Fletcher, would he have been as willing to, as the guy that had his choice of teams to go to, obviously, whether we agree with it or not, as Charlie said, that appears to be the reality, that he had his pick wherever he wanted to go, they were going to hire him. So if the fact that we have Keith Jones leading the organization and everybody that's ever met him loves him, so Rick Tocchet's yeah, I definitely want Keith Jones to be my boss. That sounds like a great idea. If that trickles down to a player being yeah, I'd really love Rick Tocchet to be my boss, that sounds like a great idea. Yeah, this is a good thing. That's very good.
Yeah.
Can't argue against that. Yeah.
It does seem like everybody in hockey circles likes being around Rick Tocchet and thinks he's a very good coach.
Yeah.
Whether it's true or not, if it lands us a bunch of talent,
cool.
Hell yeah. That is ultimately the Flyers' biggest problem. Not enough good players. They're going to. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, they're going to have to attract the good players, and that's...
Yeah, and at the end of the day, there are very few coaches in the NHL that move the needle one way or the other as far as, taking a team that absolutely sucks roster-wise and making it good. That doesn't really happen. We need players with talent. And if players with talent think that Rick Tocchet is a good coach and they want to play for him, that's what's going to move the needle. So, yeah, I'll take it. Cool. If that's what makes Rick Tocchet a good coach, then yeah, cool. Perfect. Love it.
If at the very least, like you said, he's not the coach that most of the league doesn't want to play for,
exactly.
That's an upgrade. It's an upgrade to have, I realize I don't think it was maybe you throw enough money at a guy, maybe they overlook the coach. And honestly, how many coaches last forever? They don't. So, but free agents have a choice. Guys with trade protections have a choice. And if it's, there's 3 teams involved, who do you want? Well, it's not him. That's not the problem with Tocchet. If nothing else, players seem to like him, or at least don't outwardly hate him. So that's pretty cool. All right. Before we get to today's Super Chats, I got to talk to you about our friends at Mando. That's right. It's so good. Listen, Mando has some very funny...
Me on the screen for this.
Mando has some very funny advertisements and some absolutely great verbiage that we're allowed to use. But Mando is a full-body deodorant that tackles a very serious problem. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. And Mando is clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. And that's huge because, as we know, Kelly, the average man's grundle odor is at a level 5 out of 10 only 12 hours after a shower.
Many people are saying.
It's summer. The type of weather on the horizon isn't necessarily kind to, say, big guys like myself, but I still love, hitting the beach, then going straight to no shower happy hour. But despite our best jokes and dance moves, nobody at the bar has time for a smelly dude, and that's what makes Mando a game changer. Whether it's the solid stick deodorant or the spray on, available in scents like bourbon leather, clover woods, Mount Fuji, Mando controls that BO, so you can be confident all day and all night. Whether it's your pits, belly button, crack, or other unmentionables like the grundle, for instance, Mando can knock that odor level down to 0. And Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like maybe mini body wash and deodorant wipes, plus free shipping. And as a special offer for listeners, new customers now get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to 40% off your starter pack. All you got to do is use code PHLY at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com and use code PHLY. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
Heck yeah.
What a life we live here. All right.
It's so cool this is your job.
It's unfreaking believable. All right, let's hit those super chats. We're going to lead it off today with Gary B. What's up, Gary B? Bill and Kelly, did you hear Jonesy on WIP this morning? Love you both. I heard a bit of it. I was waiting for the podcast to hit the morning show feed, but I was filling in for John Marks this morning from 8 to 9, and he was done at 9:30, so I didn't hear much of it. But I'm looking forward to hearing what he had to say.
Me too.
I heard the first caller, and it made me laugh that he took. It's okay. We're gonna take our first call. And a dude says to Jonesy, "Yeah, I used to go to a ton of games, but my wife only likes to fight, so she doesn't like to go anymore." And then they started talking about like Nick Sirianni's contract extension or something. So that really made me laugh. But I'm definitely gonna check it out after this. All right, this next one here is from JH. Love when PD comes on the show. He's the best. Yeah, PD is excellent. If you've never seen his video breakdowns, check him out inside the coach's room. But we had him on for an interview, and he's going to be breaking down some of Tocchet's systems and preferences for us in a video that'll be up on our YouTube page at some point. I got to connect with him again to discuss that, but we have the interview up now, so check it out. All right, next one here from J.E. Frucione. The composition of our roster doesn't lend itself to an offer sheet for anyone presently. I'd rather make a trade or take a pop at a UFA. Do you think Marner is worth the money? I don't think they can do it with Marner. Marner is a luxury item. I don't think you can do it, especially while you're paying Travis Konechny. Just seems like a little bit of unnecessary, repeat stuff here. I can't think of words, but I can think, Kelly, that we're headed to overtime. That's right. Go to allphly.com if you are a TV viewer for more of the show. I missed your I always miss your buzzer when you're not around for the OT. On Marks this morning, they actually have an OT a buzzer sound effect. We just have Kelly Hinkle.
Why don't you guys have a button? You should have a button.
I don't know. Who's to say? I don't plan these things. I barely get the show together in time most days. All right.
Probably would have used the button. Let's be real.
Let's Eric Smith. Leafs need playoff. Risto. That is absolutely the way they're gonna go. They're just
they're 100% gonna goon it up.
They are gonna double down on more stuff like that. And it's I will say, as much as depth scoring is a problem of theirs, if the core four aren't in on a goal, chances are the goal wasn't scored. You look at their numbers. I was listening on Chicklets today. I think it was yesterday's episode. They talk about those guys' numbers in games 5, 6, and 7 of a series going back to 2019. They don't show up late in series. It is insane. Like Mitch Marner, in I think like 19 games, has 7 points, none of them goals in games 5 through 7 of a series. Like, that's wild. That's absolutely freaking wild. And I know that seems like, oh, well, on Tuesdays when the sun doesn't shine, we're talking about a 19, 20 game sample size here. Like, this is a guy who wants $14 million. Can't do it. Simply can't do it. Not when you look at, I don't know, what Mikko Rantanen is doing and be like, yeah, let's pay him like that guy. I don't think so. All right. This next one here is from DA Flyers, man. What's up, DA? The Leafs haven't been to the finals since 67. The Flyers entered the league in 67. Coincidence? Probably. It is funny. And like for the longest time, they hadn't won a series since the Flyers eliminated them in 04. Like, they've only won 2 series since then now, and I think it's been over like the last 2 years. It's crazy. Like, we talk about them as, you know, the Eagles of that league. They are like, they think they're the Yankees, but they're the Mets. Like, they are the big team of the NHL. They are the money-making team. And it's not like they come up small. They do nothing. They do come up small, but they never do anything. It's not as if, well, they do sometimes. No, they haven't been to the finals since 67. It's unbelievable how bad they are. Like, just how long it has gone on. Yes, the Flyers haven't won in 50 years. They've been to a bunch. They've been relevant. They've won a ton of series. It's just like, then they don't get it done. The Leafs
got to fire Shanahan, right?
In 20 years.
They got to fire Shanahan, right?
I don't know what the hell they do. Like, it is going to be fun to see how they react here. Yeah. All right. Who is coming up next? Oh, Purple Crayon. What's up, Purple? Tippett has all the tools to be amazing. Keep him around for this year at least.
Here's the thing. Can I just, real quick? I don't think Owen Tippett is bad.
No.
That's not why I want to trade him. I want to trade him because there is a very good chance that last year's Owen Tippett is Owen Tippett. And that's a chance I would rather have some other team take, given that what you're saying is true. He does have all the tools to be very good, and he very well could be. But we need other good players, and you can't, as much as we would love to trade, you know, Bobby Brink in a third for a number 1 center, like, it's not going to happen. Like, you got to give up something good to get a good player back. And Owen Tippett probably is good, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking 8 years. What if he's last year's guy for 6 of those 8 years? Like, that's not great. And if we can trade him for a Marco Rossi, okay.
I look at someone with the tools of Owen Tippett, and he's 26 years old now. Like, he is no longer a developing player.
No,
I think he can take another step, as we saw Travis Konechny do at a similar age. But, like, I look at a guy with all those tools, and why hasn't he scored 35 goals yet? Why hasn't he had a 70-point season yet? And I hear that attitude in his exit interview.
I know you.
And I think that's why. Oh, how would you assess your year? Pretty good. No, it wasn't, dude. If you thought that was good, you're wrong. Objectively incorrect. You had a bad year. If you thought it, like, Matvei Michkov leads all rookies in goal scoring, leads the team in goal scoring, 19, 20-year-old season, hated it. Not good enough in any aspect. Gonna get better at literally every single part of my game. Owen Tippett, it's fine, dude. Cowabunga, man. Like, no, I'm sorry. It wasn't good enough. And if that's your attitude, you're never going to put all those tools to use.
He's either going to get way better under Rick Tocchet, or Rick Tocchet is going to absolutely hate him.
I do want to see if Tocchet can do what Tortorella started to do and get him to realize how freaking good he can be.
Yeah.
It's there. Nobody with the size, the speed, and the shot he has should score 20. All right. They should score 30 or more. All right. Let's get to these next couple here. Another one from J.E. says, also good to see Kelly isn't on a ledge over Tocchet and is turning towards support. My question for Kelly is, do you favor Tocchet over Tortorella, and in how many languages can you say yes?
Yeah, three, I guess, technically. I know how to say it in Spanish and also French. Yeah. And honestly, I felt worse about the Tortorella hire than I felt about this one.
Well, the Tortorella, Tortorella seemed to know that the team was no good and that they needed to rebuild, but they brought him in the previous regime because it was like, this will help us in our aggressive retool. It was like, but they're bad. And like, there was just this grand misunderstanding by the decision makers about how bad this team was. And it's like, you brought in the coach that you think he can help you win. And like, winning is the last thing we should be thinking about right now. This, at least, they all seem to recognize. Everyone seems to recognize we're on the same page. Like, I don't think anyone's like, yeah, they should win the cup next year. Yeah, we're trying to take a step. We got to fix the goaltending. We think Tocchet can help develop young guys and attract the players we need. Like, it seems like at least everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, agreed. So Lyndon49 in the chat is asking who I wanted. I thought I was clear about it on the show. I was kind of hoping for a kind of like a Fixated-Shaw tandem. My thought was that was a situation where the coach could grow with the team, and there would be like obviously I think like a college coach that brought along his program the way that he did is probably very clearly good at developing young players, and that's something that we need. And so my thought process was I would have liked to see the team go in a direction where they're bringing in a fresh coach with fresh ideas that can grow with the young team that we have. That's what I wanted. It's not what I got. So now I'm Rick Tocchet's #1 fan.
Yeah. I wanted Fedorov over Zhamnov, and that was never going to happen. So, all right. And I think this is our last one here from JH. Kelly, you look so happy and refreshed. Pearl Jam will do that to you.
It's my favorite thing in the world to do. So, I am pretty happy. I decided last Monday that I was going to go to these Pittsburgh shows this weekend. So it came together very quickly. I spent entirely too much money doing it. I have zero regrets. It was great.
Beautiful.
So yeah.
That is great to hear. And that is all the time we have for you on PHLY. Yeah, it's like you said, we're 8 minutes over. We thought it might be 20 because I had nothing planned today. So obviously we'd go way over. And that's basically what happened. All right. That's all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. Like I said earlier, tomorrow is a mailbag show, so hit us up at PHLY_Flyers.
Good questions only.
Yeah, give us the good questions. You came through last time. We asked for better questions. We got them. We need to see a repeat performance.
I believe in you guys.
So send them our way, and we will answer a bunch tomorrow. Until then, hit that like button. We need more likes. I can't see the number, but it ain't enough. So make sure you hit the like button. Follow us right here on the YouTube. Subscribe as well. Set that reminder bell so you get notifications and never miss a live show. And follow the podcast wherever you get those. Just search PHLY Flyers. All right. I'm Bill Matz. That's Kelly Hinkle. Till tomorrow, let's go Flyers.
We all silly like the mayor.